Hello, I'm Rebecca of the Garden Gate Flower Company,
And I'm Grace of Grace Alexander Flowers.
and we've come together to create Stuart and Alexander Gather at the Garden Gate.
A podcast taking you behind the scenes of two gardens, what we've been up to inside, outside, and out and about.
Let's start. Hello.
Hello, everybody. If you're on holiday and you're listening to this on an aeroplane at an airport or on a beach, I do hope you're having a really lovely time, obviously.
She's saying this through gritted teeth.
Yeah.
I honestly, I've got serious holiday blues. It is the definition of serious holiday blues, the fact that you've spent 80% of your day already Googling Verbo properties in Italy or France and looking at different ways to get to France the cheapest way possible. Does that constitute a holiday blues?
Yeah, it
I
does.
have it in buckets and spade loads.
If you are currently in the UK and want to be somewhere else because you've enjoyed being away so much, you've definitely got holiday blues.
So the funny thing about being away, and I'm reckoning that you are a similar type of person, but I might be wrong because you always surprise me when I presume something about you. I am somebody that is very good at planning and very much enjoys the process of research. I should have been a travel agent in a former life. Maybe that's how it was. So I love the process of planning and dreaming about being somewhere else. But quite often when I get there, I do have a moment or 24 hours of, oh, but I love my home. I love my home. And then I get home and I'm like, oh, this is lovely to be home. But that wears off really quickly and I start the whole process again. It's a very weird anxiety thing.
On the planning thing, we have, because of the dogs, essentially.
Yeah.
I just can't leave the dogs. My husband and I started going to Cornwall on holiday 15 years ago. We bought a bell tent, so our bell tent's 15 years old. And we go on holiday, not always to the same campsite, because we've now moved our campsite to one that is, I think, 6 minutes away
I
from your
love
house,
it.
which is slightly stalkerish and hilarious. And I hadn't realised until last time I went, just how
Yeah.
close it is. If I shouted, I reckon
Oh,
you'd
yeah,
hear
yeah,
me.
yeah. We could certainly drop a message in a bottle and I could send it downstream to you.
Yeah. So we have every year we put together a document of all the things we're going to do and what have we booked and which restaurants we're going to go to, what walks are we going to do, and links to things. And we always have the list from last year and we've always added something. And I always forget the dustpan and brush and things like that. So yes, I hear what you're saying about the planning thing, but I thought you were going to say that when you get there, you're a bit like, I don't want to do any of the things that I plan to do, because I definitely over plan or include too much stuff to do when we get there. And then after the first time, bit like, can I just have a bit of a lie down, please?
Well,
I don't want to do a 12-mile walk
no,
today.
well, I would say as well, I'm really good at planning. I'm really good at researching. And there's always a really good reason why I've chosen a location we've gone to. However, I always fail to write it down because I think I can keep everything in my head. So when I get there, I can't remember half of it. And when I get home and I go, oh, that was why we were supposed to be going because that's got an amazing market on a Thursday. And we didn't go to it. So I just think I get very hyped up in like I said, I needed to have been a travel agent. I would have been brilliant as a travel agent. In my past life as a PA, a lot of what I did was organise my boss's holidays, away days, work away days, and their
Really?
family holidays. Yeah. Researched it and
What?
ordered it.
I need a PA.
Yeah.
I
And
really
one
need
of
a
them I
PA.
worked for used to have a house in the south of France with their own sort of like housekeeper and chef and stuff like that. So, yeah, in my former life. So, yeah, I'm quite,
Oh.
I know, maybe I'm quite used to that sort of thing of organising. I'm very good at organising.
So we've talked about how your magazine of choice is Condé
Yes.
Nast Travel, and now I'm thinking you're basically just carrying around a brochure.
I am.
Like you are a travel agent with a brochure.
I am. Maybe there's something in this. Okay, to all my 2025, 2026 clients, you're safe. But 2027, maybe I'm going to become a travel agent.
Bets are off.
Yeah. Bets are off. Get your bookings in quickly because Becca might change careers. I love it. We also just had a moment before we hit record going, we've only just recorded the last episode that had to go out very quickly because I was obviously not in the country. And that realisation that both of us probably have done absolutely naff all since our last recording.
No, I think August I think I've got August blues.
Yeah.
If you've got holiday blues, I've got August blues just because,
You're covering
yeah,
everyone.
everyone's on holiday. I'm knackered. Things have been super busy and it has only been 4 days. And who goes out between Monday and Thursday?
When
Yeah.
we re-
I was trying to scrabble around and
Well,
yeah.
I was going to say between Monday and Thursday next week, I will have gone out. So, yeah, I have got a little out planned for Tuesday, which should be quite exciting, which I'm not going to tell you anything about because obviously I have nothing to talk about next week otherwise. But I think what I'm going to just talk to you about. I know the premises of in, out, out and out, but I might blend it mine. Can we go ad lib for this one?
Of course
Can
we
we?
can. Of course we can.
So what I have been up to, as with everybody who comes back on holiday, is a mountain of washing, which is just boring to talk about. But anyway, I have done. Thank goodness for an Arga/Everhot, because I think Andy managed to get through 4 loads of washing in one day, which is a remarkable amount of washing, isn't it? We've had obviously the classic teenager who then just went, I've lost everything, because this happens every time I go on holiday. Nothing comes back to my bedroom, which basically is, by the way, have you looked on your chair for the mountain of washing that we've done for you? But it's under everything else. Everybody's just slowly getting things back into cupboards. And I made a point, and I'm really bad at this as well. I am a terrible unpacker. Okay? So when we were, yes,
Really?
I don't know what's wrong with me. I've just got really bad. I never used to be. I used to be so organised, but now it's really bad. I get waylaid with something. When we came back from Chelsea, I think my bag was still semi-unpacked for over a week, and there were still things in the bag that I didn't put
I
away.
thought you were going to say it was still semi-packed when you started packing for your holiday.
No. But I make a point that literally it sits in the corner of the room, and if it doesn't get unpacked straight away, it sits there like an annoying reminder of times gone by. So I made the ultimate point of the next day taking everything out of my bag, unpacking it, getting it in the washing machine, and getting stuff put away. I felt so remarkably efficient. I just want to note that.
That is quite impressive.
I know. So that was one thing I've been doing. I've also been up to the land surveying, obviously, what's been going on there. Loads of lovely flowers. I've got great germination, by the way. I did a bit of a seed sowing a few weeks before I left, direct seed sowing. We've talked about this a lot, haven't we? The seed box that is the ever-growing seed box, where you keep ordering the same thing because for some reason you never check. So I went to said seed box before and just literally stuck it all in my gardening bag and then broadcast sowed it.
Did you do the mix of annuals that we talked about?
That is exactly what I did. So I did.
Oh, amazing.
I did corn. It was mainly whites because I really wanted a bumper amount of whites for the end of the year. I did cosmos, corn cockles, ammi. What else did I do? Corn cockles.
Do you reckon you're gonna get flowers this year?
Yeah, I am. We're Cornwall, remember? We're like subtropical.
I know. Only watching Gardener's World and did jobs for the weekend, and Monty was doing things with cedar, and I was like, surely not hardy annuals yet. Surely. And he said, so your hardy annuals for early flowering next year. And I was
a bit early.
Really?
Bit early. But mine will be cut.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, a bit early for me.
Exactly. So that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
If I thought I was going to get some this year, I might chuck some
more
in.
So what's very interesting is so the plot that I've got, which I've just taken over, which I'm going to put all to annuals, biannuals, although half of the plot was being taken over by somebody that did no dig, so it's really good. The other half is really not great. And that's where I've done the annuals, because actually they don't need a lot of they need quite poor, don't they? Just let them grow. Yeah. I have noticed is the cosmos has germinated. I stupidly put a little bit of a membrane path down the middle of a bed that was originally there, but way too wide. So I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll put a little bit of membrane down the middle. Oh, my goodness. Obviously, let's go back to our original topic of conversation every month, slugs. I then whipped that back off, along with about 150 slugs that were stuck to the bottom of it. I sowed a little bit more. I think I sowed a little bit more. But generally speaking, one side hasn't done particularly well, but the lower side has. And it seems to be predominantly cosmos. I've seen a little bit of ammi. I've seen something else. I think it might well be the corn cockle. I think it's the corn cockle is germinating. Not great on the Ami front. I was hoping for a bumper crop of Ami, but I don't think many of that
Yeah,
much as that of that has actually germinated. 3 plants go a long way, so I'll take whatever I get.
absolutely. And the whole seed box thing is I'm always buying more cosmos. I tell you
Oh,
what, you only ever need 5 plants of cosmos, like even if you're doing industrial floristry.
exactly. It just looks nice, doesn't it,
Yeah.
en masse, I suppose, for
Oh,
everybody
it's
else.
beautiful,
So I'm
beautiful.
quite pleased about that, and that has properly germinated, and what I'd say is they are, having gone back to land and had a look, I'd say they're a good 3 inches out of the ground. So I'm
Oh,
quite chuffed
wow.
about that. And I've now also dug over, in preparation for planting on Friday, I've dug over the bed for all the foxgloves. So if you are
Oh,
into your biannual
lovely.
sowing, you have still got time, haven't you, to get some more just
Yeah.
about.
I mean, my socks gloves are looking good, actually. The ones that have germinated and growing on, and I did lose some of them to just being scorched because the weather's been so hot, but I have got lots looking really
Mm.
good. Yes. I was wondering about doing some direct sewing as
I
well. I think it's a good
I
shout.
think I think the only thing is, so interesting, I'd taken Maz up to the land to show her around so that she had somewhere to walk with the dog if she wanted to go up. I was saying the land that I've got is very weedy until you've done it for a whole year and got those perennial weeds out. It's a bit of a nightmare. Um,
Yeah.
and she was very much, I should have probably done it in rows and then hoed in between. I don't actually own a hoe, but she seems to be all about hoeing now.
I think you'll find when we did our what tools would you buy again if you lost or
Yeah.
broke, and mine was absolutely a
Yeah.
hoe. Yours was a
Mine was a
teaspoon, which
teaspoon.
was
Mine's a
hilarious.
teaspoon. Yours was a hoe.
Yeah, mine was a
Yeah,
hoe.
so I need to get
Mm.
with that. So actually, I think that was a very very good
Yeah.
time. Also, can I interject the if anyone has listened, you have to go back and listen to episodes 5 for this to be relatable. Uh, I mentioned
Was I concentrating?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, you were. I mentioned the fact that it was so lovely coming home to a house full of flowers, but there was 2 red dahlias in my kitchen.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
since that recording
Rogue
yeah, Rogue
Rouge.
Rouge. Since that recording of that podcast, Maz has been over and we had a little debrief. And I said to Maz, I said, it was lovely, all of these lovely flowers in the house. I said, it was so beautiful. I said, I even put it on the podcast how lovely it was. I said, but dahlias. And she went, oh, and she went really bright red. And I went, what? And she went, She said, now, she said the new little bit of land you haven't quite given, wasn't quite given up yet. She said I was caught in the polytunnel cutting the previous tenant's red dahlias. I was like, Maz, I can't.
Oh, it's
Can
so
I just set the
funny.
scene for the fact that I gave her an entire plot of flowers to pick at her own leisure? Rows of dahlias, roses. I didn't put any limitations. Zinnias in the tunnel. Knock yourself out, Maz. Oh, no, 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 no. No, no. She had to go to the new plot, into the previous tenants who were still in there because they're not vacating till later in autumn, and got caught red-handed. Got caught red-handed. Literally
Literally
red-handed. Dear
red-handed.
Jim looked at her and said, hello, what are you doing? And Maz said, oh, yes, it was a bit uncomfortable. And I was thinking, oh, no, die now. This is awful. This is awful. I'm going to have such a terrible name.
Did she just spile it out?
Oh,
What did she
Maz
do?
being Maz ended up convincing him somehow that it was absolutely fine. And she went away with a whole punnet of blueberries from him as well. So she got 2
Oh,
dahlias and a punnet of blueberries. I have also smoothed it over with a bucket of dahlias from my land as an apology. Yeah. Naughty Maz. Naughty
oh.
Maz, the 10th dahlia.
Nature knows no boundaries. Nature knows no boundaries. And
I know, I
yeah,
love
what is ownership of something so beautiful as a dahlia
I
anyway?
loved it. I love it. It's so funny. She's so wicked. So anyway, so that's been my 2 outies, my in and my out. My out
Mm.
is it's like non-existent. What have you been up to? Apart from work?
I know. So my in is a little bit of a tricky one, and I will be grateful for any, I don't know, sympathy, moral support, not sure, any just thoughts really. So obviously we've been talking lots about doing the renovation and doing the floor and stuff like that. And in order to build a floor out of massive oak joists, you do have to do a little bit of carpentry. We have something of a problematic
Hmm.
neighbour who on Sunday afternoon at the weekend, just literally after we'd finished doing the podcast, actually, I was still upstairs just tidying up and closing things. And there was a knock on the door, and it was a very assertive knock on the door. So I thought that's the courier. It's unusual for a Sunday, but okay, fine. So my husband went to answer the door. And I came down 10 minutes later and he was a bit pale. And so the neighbour is complaining basically about carpentry work being done at the weekend and
Mm.
how the sound echoes around their house and they can hear everything and all sorts of things. So it's been a bit demoralising actually, because so much of this work is so bizarrely bespoke that it's being done by us. When I say us, I mean my husband. And my husband works full time. And so really Saturdays and Sundays are the only time that he has to do anything. And they're saying, well, Saturdays and Sundays are sacred sort of thing.
Oh, it's
And it's
awkward, isn't
just,
it?
it's given, it is so awkward. And neither of us want to be a dick about it or to be inconsiderate or all of that sort of thing. But we have a cottage that was built in the 1700s that's been neglected for at least 2.5 decades that we know of, because we know who lived there during that time, have had nothing done to it. It's riddled with damp
Mm.
and the floor fell in. So it's a bit, I don't know. How do you move
Well,
forward doing
well,
such things very
it's really
constantly?
interesting because I've got a bit of experience in this, in the sense that
I
I
knew you would.
know,
I knew you'd have something kind and sensible and
well,
useful to say about it.
there's two sort of sides to this, obviously, because there's always is. One is that my mum actually has had a neighbour do exactly the same thing, and they're actually detached. But the amount of work that went on day and right into the night, late into the night, because this family actually did a lot of the renovation after work, so quite late at night,
Mm,
and used tools that pretty much were so heavy duty that they, like I said, they vibrated into her house, and they're not even joined.
mm,
And it was interesting because my mum did find it quite full on and quite hard to deal with, because there didn't seem to be very much let up. It was either the builders in the day or the owners in the
mm,
evening. We, as in the royal we, mum and I, never complained, because I think the thing is that we knew there was an end to it. There is an end to it, and in a weird way, the quicker it gets done, if it albeit at the weekend, the quicker it's finished, and the quicker the disruption's over.
totally. Exactly. And that's what my husband says. If you want me to stop
Yeah,
doing it on Sundays, it's going to take
yeah,
twice as long, because I
no,
can't do it. They've got Mondays to Fridays when literally nothing
no,
happens.
exactly.
And it is just going to drag it out. And it's not like we can't do it, because we have a kitchen with no ceiling and a bedroom with no
I
floor.
think
So
the thing is to
yeah.
probably, now that they've come round, is to probably see if you can find a compromise that maybe you start at a certain time or you only do a few hours on a certain time. There are actually rules and regulations on this sort of thing that might be just worth looking up on. Especially on
Mm,
a Sunday. I know there is quite, I think it is actually in their favour and not yours, sadly. The other
yeah.
thing that
Yeah.
the other example I was going to give you is that actually where we live at the moment, everybody's having their roof redone. And in between having their roof
Mm,
redone, scaffolding is the noisiest thing I've ever heard being put up or taken down, ever.
yeah.
It seems like, and also, I don't know why, but in the last 5 years, our road's been dug up about 50 million times, because every single services doesn't seem to get together to do the same bit of road. The railway line has had a huge upgrade, and they're also building a whole load of flats at the end of our road. So the combination, oh, and also coupled with that, there seems to be somebody strimming their garden 24/7 every day of the week, and I don't know where. And I must admit, coming home, it was only literally yesterday. I said to Andy when the door was open, I was like, "It's so noisy here. Why is it so?"
Yeah.
We live. You know where we live. It's so
Yeah.
rural, so
Yeah.
pretty,
Yeah.
but there seem to be power tools going constantly. So yeah, I just think it's not worth falling out with neighbours, is it? But it is a bit demoralising. It is a bit of a shame because, like you said, from a cost point of view. Also, you mentioned that you had friends doing it, which I imagine those friends are also only available on a weekend if they're going to do mates rates for you. It's a really tricky thing, isn't it?
Actually, luckily, that bit of work was done in the
Yeah.
week. That was done on a Wednesday and a Thursday when they came up. The thing is, that's sticking in my craw a little
Mm.
bit is this particular neighbour built a house smack in the middle of the village, right next door to our
Mm.
cottages. And we never said a word, despite the fact it's really intrusive. It's huge. It overlooks our
Ooh.
garden and it's really ugly. And I never said a word.
No.
Never said a word because I believe in people are just doing the best of what they got. And who am I to interfere? And so I am feeling quite,
Prickly
you know,
about it.
yes, I'm a bit like I'd like to do as I would be done by.
What
So I'm very laid back anyway. I'm quite tolerant of other people. It takes quite a lot to anyway, but
can
yeah.
I just have a
So
moment for the
we're
fact that
yeah.
you've got a husband that can actually do that level of DIY? I'm really impressed. I'd be happy with a curtain pole going up on a weekend. And to be honest, the neighbours better
I'm
not
very
complain at that
lucky.
because that
Yeah.
would be a miracle in our house.
Yeah. Hey, you don't want to put him
No,
off. No,
exactly.
absolutely.
No, I would,
Absolutely.
yeah. So what was the outcome other than feeling quite ill and shutting the door and banging even louder?
No,
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 no.
no.
It hasn't been about any bagging even louder. Like you say, in a village, you just can't afford to annoy the neighbours. Yeah, we agreed on no Sunday afternoons, and we've always been quite considerate in the mornings anyway. We don't start early doors, and we're next to church. It's church service on. We'd never done it with church service on, but yeah, I just think we're just going to have to push through and just really just hope just get it done, and then it's done. But of course, it just you don't want to mow your lawn, and you don't want to do anything after that. Really, it's a sort of it just gives a bit of a icky
Yeah.
feeling. I'm sure anyone who's had dealings with slightly tricky neighbours will understand. It's not a nice feeling,
I
but
would love to live somewhere we don't have any neighbours. Wouldn't you love that?
yeah, I would.
Oh,
I would.
surrounded by fields
Yeah.
where the only things that are going to be a pain in the bum are basically the sheep that when they're lambing or something like that, you know?
Yeah. So that's my
Mm.
in, is that there might not be more renovation news for a little while. My out is that we are planning a family party for the orchard for the bank holiday weekend. So lots of my time at the moment when I'm not at work is spent menu planning and thinking about do I need more tablecloths and have I got enough chairs? It's not a big family party. It is just so I met my husband because our brothers were submariners together.
Okay.
And there's quite a long story about how we actually eventually got together. But so our brothers were best friends. We are also very close to the sisters on both sides. So the six of us at one point all lived within 50 yards of each other in Plymouth as well. So the Underwood six are reuniting with some children, not lots of children, because the children are quite grown up now,
Mm.
but we are having a little get together. So I'm very excited about just rather than focusing on slugs and getting my dahlias to actually grow and sweet pea seed and things like that. I'm very much, yeah, all the good stuff and clearing areas for tables and where are we going to sit and let's put the fire pit out and stuff
Oh,
like that.
that's
So that's
nice.
it's a nice little shift just in the emphasis as we
Dare I say, are you worried about the weather?
I know. Given how things have been, I felt stupid thinking, oh, do we need to check the weather? But my sister-in-law is an intensive care nurse, and we were going to pick a night close to the time, which was better for the weather. But she has to work on the bank holiday Monday, so we are a little bit more constrained. So
Will it be inside
yes, and
then,
what with
if needs be?
not being we won't fit inside because
Oh, good.
like half of the cottage is still uninhabitable
Mm.
and walls are down and floors are up and yeah, it's just not an option
Oh,
really.
God.
Maybe we
Maybe
could
you'll
make
be
it work,
hunting for a
but
gazebo at B&Q the day before.
we do have a canopy, but it's not really big enough for six people to eat under. So yeah, we probably would have to just somehow make
Yeah.
do in the kitchen. But
I'm
yeah,
sure you'll
that's
make
not
it
the
work and
plan.
it will be lovely. Actually, funny.
It's August bank holiday. What could go wrong?
Yeah, I know. Funny enough, my husband's birthday is around about that time.
Oh,
And I've been always quite reluctant with outdoor things because it's August bank holiday. But you know what? If it's going to work, it will work this year, I'm sure, because we've had so much rubbish weather. I'm sat here and we've got drizzly
yeah.
rain all today, although actually it hasn't been bad in and out of the days this week. And tomorrow looks quite good.
No,
So it's just not very reliable. That's the thing at the moment.
I know. I think it's one of those things. So you've just got to plan for the best. What's it? Expect the best and plan for the worst. Is
Something
that
like
right?
that.
Yeah,
Also, though, the
we'll
other
do
thing I
that.
was in dailies and stuff like that, the only place I have been out to was I did my little delivery of my thank you gifts for the people that looked after house
Sure.
and land. And I dropped into Becky's to give her the bottle of olive oil. And she had,
Mm.
oh yeah, always do olive oil, lovely. Her garden is lovely, Grace, absolutely lovely. And she's really inspired me. This is the lady that's sort of given me a few hints and tips. It's really nice. Been really inspired by her dahlias and pots. I've never
Mm.
really done, I'm going to put this out there, I've never really grown dahlias in pots. And
Well, I did get all Arthur
yeah,
Parkinson at the end of last year and bought myself loads of dustbins and I had tulips and dustbins this year, but so many of my dahlias got gone.
did we talk about this last week? I feel like we've mentioned this before.
I feel like we might have had this conversation when we finished
Oh,
recording.
do you think we had it when we finished recording? We've had it
I think we
before.
did.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm going to have to listen to episode 5 now to check we're not repeating
Yeah,
ourselves.
well, okay. Well, hopefully we haven't repeated ourselves. This is what happens when you get to our age. You start repeating yourself. I can't remember who I've told what to. But yeah, I am quite inspired. I don't think we did mention this. I think it was offline. And she had the most amazing, because I shared it with you, didn't I? The most amazing clematis.
You did,
Yeah.
yes.
And so
Yeah.
it has made me think that actually I ran out a bit of steam with pots, I think later in the season. I think I'm very good from tulips through to spring, but I need to work harder next year on high summer and autumn in planters. So I'm going to set myself a little bit of a challenge to really do the research. And I know why this happens. Ultimately, it's because my wedding season gets really busy and I haven't got time, and I've got all winter to prepare my own garden. But once, obviously, the season gets going, it's really hard, isn't it? I'm going to give myself I might even write it down. That would be a new one for me. I might even write it down and give myself a real sort of clear structure of what I'm going to have in certain pots in certain places around the garden next year.
So I love the Gardens Illustrated Pots of Style series.
Oh,
love
yes,
it.
that's right. I do look at.
Have you
Yeah,
seen
I
that?
do.
Yeah.
Do you remember when Country Living used to do that, or something like that?
No, we have had this conversation
Oh, yeah.
before a long time ago, and I had to say I didn't know. But some of the was it Andrew Montgomery who photographed the
For
original
Country
ones,
Living.
which were just stunning. No,
For
for
Gardens
Gardens
Illustrated.
Illustrated.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's so lovely. Christie's done a series. Jackie Mills did a few.
Yeah.
Somebody else. Alison Jenkins with Dams of Farm. I think she's done a few as
They
well.
are really nice, but they
So,
all look absolutely perfect, don't they?
They do, and I can never find the plants
No.
that they mention. They're so
No,
obscure.
what I will say is when you actually do buy them, very rarely do they look that good straight away. I did do my lovely tall planters that I had from
Yes.
Agriframes, and I'm delighted with those. I'm actually going to save the seed of a very unusual scabious that I bought, which I think it wasn't what the label was. I think it's a bit of a rogue. So, because I put it on Instagram and somebody said, "Oh, what is that?" And I said, "Actually, it's not what the label is, so I don't quite know." A muddy colour, bit Fata Morgana, but it's a perennial one. I'm going to try and save the seed from it and see whether I can. I'll be laughing. I'm actually laughing at myself that I think I'm going to do that and have time to do that and propagate it and everything else. But
Well, I'll tell you what,
I might post you
seed
the
and I'll grow
seed.
it on for you and I'll try and give advice
Yeah,
as well.
yeah. Maybe I'll do that. Yeah, exactly. But
Yeah.
those planters looked really nice. And I have decided, and I think I did talk about this on the podcast, that those planters, those Agriframe, lovely tall zinc planters, which have been absolutely beautiful. And everybody that comes into the garden does say, that looks gorgeous. It's really brightened up an area that's quite a dull area of the garden and a really unloved, neglected area. I'm going to use them as a very annual type of planting. So I'm going to lift out the perennial. I mean, they are perennials, but I'm going to lift the perennials out, plant them up at the land. And I'm going to go with tulips, obviously, for spring, but very much treat it as a changeover bedding crop. Yeah. Because I think it's made me realise this as well, all of these sort of container plantings is you can't really keep them going particularly well for the whole season. They are either spring, summer or autumn.
I know. I've got one massive trough which has got box balls in it and Japanese anemones. And I thought I was doing it. Yeah, it looks amazing for about 5 weeks of the year. The rest of the time, it's a Japanese anemone that's not a runoff. So I think you're absolutely right. And top tip is to use pots and
Drop
just
them in.
bury the pots in, and then you can just drop them in, and then just pull the
I
whole
should
thing
I
out.
should have probably done that, but the agraframe ones are very narrow indeed. I wonder whether you could have actually done it almost in a window planter, but they are very narrow. But that is really, really good to do.
To be honest, I need to go. I've got to be somewhere else in 3 minutes' time for another meeting. Yeah.
That's the way to end a
Yeah.
podcast. To be honest with you, Becca, that's the end of our 33-minute podcast.
I'm so sorry. It's just mental at the moment. It is just
Oh,
mental.
bless
I'm back
you.
to back to
Well,
back.
hopefully
I
this
know.
week, like, normality will have resumed because I will have left Lostwithiel, at least. Not Cornwall, but Lostwithiel.
I was just
No,
saying,
never. I'm not going to be
steady.
leaving Lostwithiel for Cornwall for ages at this rate. Going into the busiest season of the year, I am. But hopefully you'll get on all right with the rest of your work and your renovation. Maybe you can just
Yeah,
drop in some AirPods to them or something. What do they call headphones?
just noise cancelling headphones.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Go and listen to
I
our
did,
podcast on
yeah.
a pair of headphones when you're working.
What? Because I'm slagging off their house. I think that's a dreadful idea.
Maybe not this episode. Yeah, exactly.
No, maybe not this episode.
Tell them to start at number 1.
No, hopefully they'll go on holiday and then it'll be all right.
Crack on during the holiday.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Yeah, who
lovely
knows?
to catch up
Yeah.
with you.
You too,
And
Anna.
I will speak to you next week. I can't remember what day we're on now. We're on Thursday. So this will go out at the weekend to everybody.
Yeah.
Hope everyone will be having a lovely weekend. Hopefully it'll be sunnier. And thank you for all the lovely, kind messages. I'm still on it. We do have a new Instagram account, Stuart and Alexander, which 114 followers, Grace? Yeah. Yes. I'm proving you wrong with every single follow.
Welcome to the family, 114 people.
And they're all lovely because they all message us. They're so nice.
Of course they're lovely. Of course
So
they're
if
lovely.
you're listening to this and you're on Instagram, go and give us a follow just so that I can prove Grace wrong every day.
Yeah.
All right.
On that note, we will chat next week. Take care.